Oh, that went well.
We're ready to go. Yeah, I'm going to go and give the dog a tap.
You are well and truly on the wonk there.
We'll just do that. Yeah, just keep going.
Yes, and then we'll get together.
Thursday. No, we're going to meet the.
Sounds fruity.
Can you see it? Right, okay. Okay. Without realising. Yeah. Right.
I can't get you off the wonk. Still wonked. Thank you, Russ. There you go, slightly unwonked. Morning, Russ. How you doing? Is it morning? Probably isn't morning for you, is it? Oh, balls, what's happened there? Okay, totally didn't mean to do that. There we go. Skick! Hello. How you doing, mate? Ashley Stewart, good afternoon to you. Right, testing. Can you hear me okay? Is this microphone working? I've got a light on, so... Right, somebody tell me that you can hear me. There's 11 of you watching. Somebody tell me that you can hear me okay, please. I like the coat boat. You're a poet and you didn't know it, Skick. Oh, a bit loud, Russ. Okay. Okay, what can we do? Hold on. I can move the microphone a bit further away for you. How's that? How's that for level? Any better? Rob, good afternoon. You can hear me. That's absolutely excellent. I'm now about to be bloody interrupted by...
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that there.
Oh, you didn't see that there. Hello, Rob. This is, of course, the fabulous Rob of the Beards and Bangers B&B channel. And I am contractually obliged to remind you that double beds are for married couples only, and a cooked breakfast is a £10 supplement per person. Is that a Beards and Bangers behind you? Yes, it is. There is a Beards and Bangers doing the rounds.
MGF. Now this sounds quite fruity.
Well, it would do.
So I think this has had some little modifications onto it.
It's had a lot of big modifications done to it.
So we won't spoil Boaty's thunder by revealing too much. But yeah, this sounded very, very nice when we drove in about an hour ago.
God, is it an hour? Doesn't time fly when you're not enjoying yourself? Say hi to Rob. Okay. Ross says hello.
Hi, Ross.
There you go. All the great and the good are here today, my lovelies. Obviously, you can see Mr. B&B there. Over there, if I move you round a bit, you can see the twin legends of Simon of Smashing Bristols and the artist formerly known as Underscore. If I move you around a bit more, and you're not really going to see, are you? But Mr. Joseph Lloyd of Lloyd Vehicle Consulting is just over there. Somebody's had enough and they're buggering off. That is that's an MGF making its way out with a luggage rack. There's an RV8 just over there. we'll have a look round in a minute. How's the sound? Are we still okay on sound, guys? When Britain ruled the road. Not sure how accurate that is, but there we are. Okay, so where am I? I am at the MGZ register due for the 100th anniversary doings of MG the Mark. Hello, there's a ZTT coming in with a roof box that's quite an odd shape. I'm not sure what that would be designed to carry. It's got a great old hump in the middle, so I'm not sure what that's about. And that's a 180 monogram thing. What MG is next to you? Asks Ross. Well, this here is actually one of my favourite MGs of all time. It's an MGA, and if you've never driven one of these, they are absolutely fantastic. And this is this is a hell of an example. Having a look around it. Yeah, what else do you get for Christmas? I mean, that is, to all intents and purposes, that is concourse. Absolutely beautiful. Mine looks a right old shed next to that. So yeah, and we are at the Great British Car Journey, which is near Ambergate in Derbyshire. So not a million miles from me, to be fair. We'll give it a little while and then we'll have a wander around. Bad hair day, but that's what you get for driving a convertible, isn't it? Would you like to have a look at the RV8? Tell you what, I'll spin you around. That, my loves, is an MG RV8. I wonder how many of you have seen one of those before. Let's take a closer look. V8, see? So what is an MG RV8? Well, kind of difficult to describe, really. I mean, ultimately, I would say that it's a bit of a white elephant. But the RV8 came about when they started manufacturing the heritage body shells for the MGB. And some bright spark had the bright idea of creating a sort of fusion of modern and retro. So basically what you've got is a slightly tweaked MGB body. I mean, have a look at the door. I mean, that is just absolutely unmistakable. With a thundering great 3.9 V8 lump in it. The lump, of course, being the Buick lump that was originally used in the Rover P5B and then the Rover P6B and then just about everything else in the world. These were really quite expensive when they... Looks a bit like a TR6. Oh gosh, I wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have seen that. Now I remember the guys from Gaydon, they brought one of these into my showrooms when they were about to be launched, and I must admit I kind of got it, but then I kind of didn't, because I thought, well, if you're gonna go updated retro, then go the whole hog. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to make it look retro but be modern and easy to use and so on, put some creature comforts in there, put electric windows in there, put power steering in there. But no, they decided that they would stay old school, and they were bloody expensive, and most of them went to Japan. Although subsequently they have, many of them have kind of found their way back from Japan and are now dwelling back within the UK, where they're going for really strong money. Right, let's twist you around and, oh, hello. BGT on its way in. So, what you've got there, my loves, is an MGA, and it is absolutely fabulous, and it's got a really nice hat on the back parcel shelf. Just having a peek at the comments there. But there you go, we've spoken about this one. Let's have a bit more of a wander around. Right, this one will be familiar to quite a lot of you. This is Margaret, Simon's Margaret from the Smashing Pistons channel, of course. And this is a TF. It's a 135, and it is standard apart from being very slightly lowered at the front by 25mm. It's got a non-original head unit in it, and the windscreen has been obscured by 469 Smashing Bristol's business cards. So there we are. Well, let's give them some publicity, shall we? There you go. Smashing Pistons, and the email address is smashingpistons@gmail.com. And the reverse of the car tells you that you should explore the Smashing Pistons YouTube channel for project cars, motorbikes, modern classics, humour, live streams, car reviews, events and shows, how-to videos, MG Rover, classic cars, meetups and car community. And the YouTube channel is, of course, Smashing Pistons. So there you go. Give Simon a bit of a shout out. Oh, hang on. Let's put it the right way around, because these are carefully organised. Let's catch up with some comments again. Otter MG. Hi Boaty, hi all. MGRV8, the ultimate parts bin special. Yeah, well, there's more than a grain of truth in that, isn't there? Let's carry on having a wander around, shall we? Okay, there's a ZS here. It's got a cap on the dashboard, and it's got hairpin alloys. Oh, and it's got the big spoiler on the boot. Have a look at that. Have a look at that. Anything but a shrinking violet, isn't it? What have we got here? MGF. Oh, a freestyle. Let's put you down there for a minute. A freestyle, my lovelies. Well, we know all about freestyles, don't we? Thanks to our Fanny. So this one is 2001. It's a freestyle SE. Diddly do, diddly do. It's got okay. That's just that's the original spec on it. Let's have a look around here. Build date. Oh, right, okay. In the correct colour, platinum silver metallic. Oh, upgrades on this car. Johnston stainless steel exhaust, rollover styling hoops, with clear acrylic windstop. Well, they appear to have disappeared. And gunmetal finish to alloy wheels. Oh, well, that's absolutely correct. Can't argue with that. Wow, your height is really noticeable against Margaret. Yeah, I see what you... Well, imagine how I feel trying to fold myself into Wetleg. Not easy. Right. We've got a rather nice ZS there. Oh gosh. All sorts of literature on the windscreen there. Shall we have a look? There you go. That's quite an imposing view for you with some sort of cherished registration. Let's have a look. There's an original brochure by the look of it. Oh, a picture of this car featured in a magazine. Let's have a look over here. It's a ZS Plus 120 in trophy blue, registered 26th of April 2002. Oh my goodness me. And owned by presumably the current owner since the 30th of August 2002. Gosh. Well, that really is long-term ownership, isn't it? Ah. So what was the entry fee in the end, and do you know the cost to drive the cars on the site, just planning ahead? The entry fee to the museum, as just for a one-off visit, is £17.50. What can I say about that? I mean, it's a hell of a lot of money, and it's not worth it, is what I can really say about that. But that's me saying that. I have been in. I didn't pay myself. Somebody kindly gifted me the entry. I had a look around. I mean, from my point of view, quite honestly, there were just a lot of cars there, 99% of which I've actually owned or had through my hands. So, yeah, I mean, but each to their own. Other people have said that it's fabulous. There's a thing that you can plug into your ears and it tells you all about the cars and so on and so on and so on. The cost to drive the cars on the site, I don't know exactly. It says from £33. So it's probably about 450. Right, what have we got here? We've got a pair of, let me put you down, we've got a pair of ZTTs there, and I'd like to know what colour this one is. It's a very striking colour. Oh, it's Monogram Mirage Chromescent, and it's number 3 of only 6 ZTTs in this colour. Having spent the majority of its life north of the border and on the Cumbrian coast, this car had a full respray in 2022 due to the poor condition of the paint and lower panels. Interior has been tidied considerably by myself. All right, nobody likes a show off. Goodness gracious, it's a fabulous colour though, and it has got headlamp washers. And if there's one thing I like, it is boobs. It's headlamp washers. I love a headlamp washer. And then this chap here has got an oddly shaped roof box. Then here we have got, what have we got? We have got a custard missile, an MG ZR with the rear wiper delete. I've never really understood the point of that. Oh gosh, it's got a BRM interior. Yeah, don't understand the wiper delete thing, but there we are, each to their own. You have to love a custard missile. Now, here we go. But, oh, hello, this one's for sale. How much? Bloody hell, are they doing that sort of money now? Good God. Okay, here we have got an MG BGT. in the standard colour for them from this time of year. It's got a nice Webasto sunroof. It's got, oh, it's not the full deck chair. It's got the deck chair interior, but it hasn't got the super vibrant deck chair. It's got a more subdued grey, rubber bumpered. Of course, that was for the American market. Not that it did them all of that much good. And my favourite aspect of these, apart from the rear seat that, you know, nobody could actually sit in, it's got the overdrive mounted on the knob mounted overdrive. I've spoken about this before. Overdrive on 3 and 4 normally wouldn't work because the wiring for the knob mounted switch went through a very tortuous route and it would very often fail. But this chap is for sale if any of you fancy it. 8.5 of the King's pounds, and a part exchange would be considered. So there you go. What have we got here? Let me put you down, have a look at your comments again. Ooh, a few more of you watching, jolly good. So, MGF here with trophy style rear spoiler, TF knob, nice black leather interior, nice floor mat which I'd like to nick. Oh, another one for sale, my loves. Oh, and another RV8 there. Right, so what do we have here? We have an MGZR Trophy 114. Oh dear, you can't look at this one. Don't look at this one. Shield your eyes. Shield your eyes. MGZR Trophy 115 turbo diesel, less than 50,000 miles on the clock. Oh, right. It's got diddly do. Oh. Nice car actually. Well, the interior is nice. There's a few cosmetic issues to the outside, but if you've got £2,000 or just in excess of £2,000 and you fancy one of these, well, there you go. Offers in excess of £2,000. Over there, you've got the drive dad's car thing, shenanigans. What in the name of arse is that? Not a clue. And we have here a rather splendid RV8. And I can't remember the name of this colour, but it is fabulous. Good God, this one's got aircon. But let me show you what I mean when I was talking about. Okay, so yeah, okay, it's retro. We get that, but it was also supposed to be updated retro. And sports windows. Sports windows, ladies and gentlemen. Stalk straight out of a Rover 800. I mean, yeah, it is. As somebody rightly pointed out, it's kind of the ultimate parts bin car, isn't it? TR7 over there in the distance. Was that a certain bomber? Yes, it was. The beige bomber is here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to head back to my car because it's coming close to sandwich time, quite honestly. And I'd quite like a cigarette and a drink. So we'll do the other side in a minute. That'll be exciting, won't it? But yes, I can confirm that the beige bomber is here. We've had a nice chat actually. So I'm going to park you up here, darlings.
Oh my God! There's so many YouTubers here.
Let me just spin you round.
Is it Jeremy Cole? I know.
There we go.
I recognise him.
Oh God, here we go.
I went to see my uncle Branston in London when I was a young friend.
Here we go. We're in trouble now.
Stroll on Hampstead Heath, and he came out of the toilets.
No, there is no mustard today, Skick. No mustard today.
Well, no, there was in the cubicles. There was little
Right,
holes
brace
cut-
yourselves, darlings.
Little holes. Cut
Here we go.
Little holes cut in the cubicles, and you could put your.
Sounds glorious.
Yeah, it was glorious.
Yeah,
But he
glorious.
was coming out of the toilet.
There's nothing worse than getting caught in the
very,
cubicles, is there?
very tired, but very happy.
Ah, well, that's nice. At least
Yeah.
someone's happy today.
But anyway, I went home, and my uncle Branston made me a lovely sandwich. Anyway.
What do you make of those legs then, darlings?
Uncle Branston Pickle.
Yes, that's my uncle. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we've
Hello,
got a nice
everybody.
silver car
Hello.
here. Oh, there's a video.
Oh,
Hey, look.
hello.
Hiya. You're all right.
Hello.
What are you doing? Is this like some sort of time watch thing?
Good luck, darlings. Good. Let's have a look at the comments coming in on this. This could be. Oh, good morning, Barry. It's 6:45 there, is it? My God. Imagine waking up at 6:45 in the morning and having that bloody face prodded right into you. Before you've even got your chops around your shredded wheat. Dear me.
Wide berth around this one.
I mean, in fairness, I'm very grateful. It's better content than I'd ever manage on my own, let's be honest.
Oh, look at this one. It's missing its badge.
Oh, what's happened to this? Oh, goodness me, that's had a hard life, that car, isn't it? Gee, oh dear. Oh dear.
It's a cool blue, isn't it?
It is a cool blue, yeah.
Very nice seat.
I didn't know Mazda made a cool. Did you?
No, I didn't know that. It's an MX-5.
MX-5.
Yes, that's correct, yeah. Well, actually, it's the import version of an MX-5, so it's called a UNOS Roadster.
Well, that was until we left.
I reckon you built this one, yeah.
Front engined, front wheel drive.
Look at that. That's so you can get in boot.
Oh, yes.
Got some little lights up right there. Oh.
MG.
I mean, it's like Morecambe and Wise never left us, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? It's an absolute joy. Where did you get that coat from?
This curve from work. I'm Norman Butler. I worked at Rover.
Of course you did. Of course you
I
did.
think that thing's still doing something.
It is into there's a comment. Oh, what's it say?
Don't point that at me, it might go off.
Oh, that was further advice.
That box is talking.
Is it? Oh.
I agree, Russ. I agree.
The boxing anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you chosen your fight? Have you chosen your fighting name yet?
Yes.
Go on.
Norman Butler, obviously.
Right. Okay. And your walk-on music? Which of you is going to be brave enough to take on the beige bomber?
Me.
Who's the beige bomber?
The beige bomber. The beige bomber is Mr. Joseph Lloyd,
Steph.
That's Steph from I Drive a Classic.
fighting under the name the beige
Who's
bomber.
Joseph Lloyd?
I don't know.
Joseph.
Have you never seen
he
any
still
musicals in the
Joseph
West
Lloyd?
End?
Oh, that.
Oh, Joseph Lloyd Webber. Oh,
with his
yes,
coat.
yes. Jason Donovan and Philip Schofield.
That's
Yes,
the
yeah,
fellow.
Oh, yes.
He used to be in
You've
Neighbours.
seen them both at the same time. Lots of times.
We
haven't
can't
you?
talk. There's an injunction that prevents me discussing that.
Oh,
Anyway,
right. Bye,
but
Jesus.
see you at Hampstead Heath again, young man.
That only works with mustard.
His name-
I haven't got the hair for Jesus.
Oh, this is real MG.
Well, the fun genuinely never starts here, darlings. Let's have a look. His beige bomber jacket. Yeah, absolutely.
Red.
Oh, Skick says your last video was very good. Fair play. He stayed in character. I'll give him that. That looks strangely like a car meet that you refuse to ever be seen at. Yeah, exactly that. Right. The reasons for being here are twofold. One is it's only down the road from home, and two is that Joseph was coming up, and he pinged me well in advance and said, "Do you fancy meeting up?" And I did, and I've just lost a bit off my tripod. Where the hell's that gone? Oh, that's annoying. I've lost my rubber knob. I've lost my rubber thing that goes over the tip. Oh, I hope I don't get you pregnant. Right, chat amongst yourselves for a moment. What are we doing with those now? Let's have a look at the comments. Oh, the Grand Prix off in 15 minutes. Is it? Yeah, I'm sorry to miss the Grand Prix today. Don't tell me what happens. I'll be catching up with it later on. Could be an interesting one. Where's Verstappen? Verstappen starting P11. I mean, I don't think there's any way he can do it. There's no overtaking at Singapore, is there? Or virtually no overtaking. He's never going to make his way through from P11. Not in a million years. Oh, hello. That's Joseph driving the. Well, I assume that must be a diesel, but it's obviously not. Otherwise, he wouldn't be driving it. So, that is that an original commerce? Honestly, don't know. '11th, right? Was P11, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. There's a little glut of streetwise over there. I'll turn you around in a minute. I'm just having a pause. Photographers abound. Oh, there's a dance going on over to the right. Do you know of the number 27 channel? No, is the quick and easy answer to that. He tests some great Italian and old classic cars that you like, and he's just bought a 75 diesel auto in black as a daily. Oh yeah, a few people have been talking about that. No, it's not a channel that I'm familiar with, in all honesty. Oh, that's quite an impressive turn of speed. Somebody in training there for the London Marathon. Very impressive. And somebody else in training, but they're going for a more leisurely walk. Yeah, no, not familiar with the number 27 channel. I am, at the moment, I'm binge watching Harry's Garage, because he has got some cars that are of particular interest to me. He's got an Espada, although it's an earlier one than mine. He has quite a late Quattro Valvole Countach, which is just always interesting. Gosh, that sounds a bit electric. Although that was behind me, so you won't have seen it, and you'll have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. Not that you normally do, anyway. And that definitely does not sound electric. Just seen Chris and Paul from the 200 Owners Club. Oh, okay. To my eternal shame, I don't actually know who that is. But I'm sure they're fabulous people. Right, we'll go on a wander in a minute. Oh, well, I'll tell you what we'll do next. We'll go over there. That'll be exciting, won't it? You'll enjoy that. Is it lunchtime yet? I'm starting to get a bit peckish. Oh, events coordinator. Asbestos roof. Not many of them left. Is it really, Skick? Barry was at the Jeff City Air Show yesterday. Had a good morning. Excellent. Glad to hear that. I'll tell you what. I'll take you over to the tent of last resort. I'm not sure that's what it's officially called, but hang on while I grab you. Let me turn you around. Here we go. Right. Chaps there having a seance. Knock 3 times on the table. Now, here we go. This is one of the 2 sections for the drivedadscar.com from only £33. And there are more than 40 cars to choose from, apparently. So, Mini. Quite an early one. Sliding windows. And a dashboard that didn't change for the next 73 years. Now, for anybody of my generation, it's impossible to look at that car without imagining a large, spindly gentleman beating the bejesus out of it with a tree branch. Here we have a Hillman Imp, a car of which I'm actually very fond, although for choice of this ilk, I would go for a Sunbeam Stiletto every time, or a Singer Chamois, or Chamois, however you want to pronounce it. Robin Reliant. Shed. Oh, that's half clean. Metro. F1 time. Have a good day, all. Oh, well, that's it. That's it. The F1's on. Goodbye, everybody. Now, the one I particularly wanted to look at is hiding behind there. And what we've got there, if I can find a way to it, when I'm carrying a large and unwieldy tripod. There you go. What we have there, darlings, is a Morris Marina Coupe. And this really is a flashback to my childhood, because my mother's second car was one of these, a Morris Marina. Well, hers was a Marina 1.8 twin carb coupe. Her first car was a Fiat 500 called Fifi, and she passed a test in that. And then, after a while, upgraded to one of these chaps. And this was the car that I remember all of the initial day trips, road trips. One of my earliest memories from the passenger seat is actually breaking down at Woburn Abbey. Happy memories. Gosh, I forgot how curved the dash was. A ridiculously elongated gear lever, the very generic steering wheel and stalks that appeared on all British Leyland cars at that period, or whatever British Leyland were bloody calling themselves at that particular time. Oh, what was hiding in the corner there? Escort Cabriolet, beloved of hairdressers. Chrysler Avenger. A Morris 1000 ragtop. Another BGT. Deck chaired interior, naturally. Let's have a look inside this one, shall we? I do like a burgundy leather interior. I like this, actually. Australia got those as a 6. Oh, and look at that. Look at that. There's nothing new in the world, is there? The ZTT did it. The 75 Tourer did it. The who else did it? BMW did it, didn't they? But there you go. There you go. Hillman got there first. Austin 7. This is fabulous. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Look at those pedals, my God. This is actually a nice one. There's a lot of oil on the floor. Come as no surprise, but look at that. That's fabulous. And the wooden gear knob. God, I love the wooden gear knob. I love that dash, actually. How fabulous is that? Yeah, I really like that. There's the actual museum part. Gift packs and vouchers are available. And then you've got a nice picnic area overlooking the building site and the sewage works to the rear. Absolutely splendid. I wonder how they're getting on with their seance there. Maybe they've got in touch with Auntie Maud and she's told them where the money is. I've got no idea what time it is. I tell you what, it must be knocking on if the F1 is started. Hang on, let me have a look at the time. So I'm feeling hungry. And I lost Wi-Fi, so I've probably missed some comments. Or possibly not. Hang on, let me press that. Right, the camera phone is working on my own 4G. This is working on the free Wi-Fi. And I'm not convinced it's working particularly well. There we are. I don't think I've missed any comments, but... Oh, I was going to check the time, wasn't I? Oh, just gone 1 o'clock. There we are. So, kind of lunchtime. Running out of battery on this one. I have brought some chargers with me. Okay. Are they trying to bring MG Rover back from the dead? Well, it's a celebration. Oh, I don't know. Right. I think this belongs to the Smalley ladies, who are followers of the channel, members of the Facebook group. This, of course, is the mighty underscores Streetwise, which now has, spoiler, and a Beards and Bangers sticker, and a box of tissues. Perfect for those unexpected mid-trip wanks. 2024, year of the Streetwise. And another one here, and this is the Beards and Bangers Streety. A diesel chap in a rather vivid shade of green, and plastic that has been hour trolled up to the max. Correct 16-inch blade alloys. Oh dear me. Oh gosh. That roof has seen better days, darlings. Oh, look at this. YouTube Beards and Bangers on his number plate. You see, this is how the professional channels do it. Not like me, just winging it, blagging my way through without a clue of what I'm doing. Missed a comment there, let me have a look. Ah, V8, darlings. ZT260 quad exhaust. I'm rather looking forward to getting Stigbert sorted. Miss him. He'll be sorted in the next couple of weeks. TF. Oh, we've got another one for sale here, darlings. For sale. Call that number for more information. So let's see what we can work out without calling that number, shall we? Well, let's have a look. We can see that it's an MGF. We can see it's got some stickers in it. It's right, so it's a facelift. It's got the seatbelt tidy uppy things. It's got a tonneau cover. It's got a wooden steering wheel, quite unusual to see on that. Wood to the centre dash. It's got those very posh and somewhat over-engineered heater knobs. Oh, that gentleman has got marketing on his legs. Oh well, there we are. What we got here? An early Cowley built 75, sitting on serpents, headlamp washers. Has it got the, yes. I think I know this car, don't I? Yeah, I think we've seen that car before. And another early Cowley car. Gosh, this is a nice one. This is a nice one. V6, no less. Oh, hello. Here we go. Let's pop you down. Genuinely one of my favourite cars to drive here. Oh, and we've got some V8 rattle as well. Let's turn you around. That sounds absolutely gorgeous. That sounds a bit deep and throaty, doesn't it, darlings? Nice.
Oh God, it's him again.
Oh God, here we go. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, hello. Hiya.
Another ZT with the very posh uprated gramophone. A somewhat modified ZR there. Let's put you down and have a look at that, shall we?
Oh yeah.
So we've got Lexus style rear lights. It's a ZR monogram nightshade and it's number 14 of 16 built. It's carbon fibre dash. It's got the Monaco blue seats. Oh, with rather nice seatbelt. Deep chin spoilers at the front. Interesting alloys that I don't recognise.
Oh yes. Yes.
Oh, you absolute prick!
See you later. Bye-bye.
Oh,
Try Clapham Collar next time, though.
thank you, darling. And have a look at this. Well, this is something that we've spoken about. I mean, it's a ZTT 190, which is a nice thing in and of itself, but all the roof tent there. Let's have a wiggle round and have a proper look at that, shall we? Oh, that looks nice, and we'll have a look at that one afterwards. Right. Go back a bit so we can see. Right, as you know, I have spoken about a roof tent for Miss Boo, for the Freelander. And it's interesting to actually look at one in real life, as it were. Now, what are the chances? What are the chances of a drunken Boaty with a bottle of wine sloshing about inside the room? What are the chances of him getting up there and into there in one piece? Actually, it's quite nice. This looks like quite an expensive one. Not that I know anything about roof tents per se, but what makes it? Outdoor you. But that's quite cool, isn't it? Don't you think? Oh, it's a left hooker. I've only just realised it's a left hooker. Oh, it's a, right. Oh, there you go. It's a German car. Deutschland. God, so they might actually be genuinely camping in this. And that would be absolutely fabulous. I love the theory of a roof tent. I'm sure that the reality would be somewhat different, especially if you're me. I mean, I'm too big, I'm too clumsy, and I'm usually too bloody drunk to be dealing with one of those. But the theory of it is fantastic. And one of those on Miss Boo would be rather fabulous, wouldn't it? We've got a little cabbie here, and then have a look at this. We've got... Oh, hello, Trace. I'm probably missing comments on my other phone because my other phone, and you know, genius that I am, I managed to leave the phone at home that I was planning to use. But, okay, so here we've got, it's on an L plate, so that's going to be a 73 BGT, which means it'll be a 5 bearing, chrome bumpered, obviously. But this is a rather nice one. Rather nice. Oh dear. Okay, well, it's got a silly gear knob. But other than that, I do love the early dash. And let's just have a look and see. Just looking to see if it's got the overdrive. But that is quite fabulous. Oh, we have an actual demonstration of the roof tent in action. A brave and intrepid personage has climbed up into the roof tent and has disappeared from view with the exception of their feet, which are dangling at the top of the ladder. In a state of some jeopardy, no, they have gone inside. He has completely disappeared into the roof tent. Gosh. And I'm bringing this to you live, free of charge, you lucky people. Ah, there is the ZS making its merry way down to the bottom of the doings. See, I shouldn't have seen that. Now I want a roof tent more than ever, don't I? The custard missile has got its bonnet up. I'm still trying to remember what colour blue that MGF is. Is that celestial blue? I honestly can't remember. Oh, but it has got chrome door handles. And that, I think you would agree, is very much to its credit. The sound of engine, I think everybody seems to be buggering off. The unmistakable sound of a Rover 75er radiator fan. Yes, there are gaps appearing left, right, and indeed centre, darlings, as everybody thinks, right, bugger this, I've had enough, I'm sodding off. There's Formula One, there are pubs serving carveries, bit of parpage there for the furious driving fans, and yep, they've had it, they're off. I might deploy the emergency sandwich at this point, darlings. I would like to catch up with your comments, actually, and that means I need to put my phone on charge. Check out the LED lighting. Hang on, if I put you there, then I can... Hang on, let me go with charging doings. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I've lost them. Well, where's they gone? I know I had them. Ah, there we are. Jolly good. Hello. How are we? Let me just plug you in there and I'll pop you on charge. Ah. Yeah, it makes a change to me somewhere different, doesn't it? What are you in today? Is it the yellow streety?
Yeah, and V8.
Oh, is that your V8?
Yeah.
Ah. Right, yes, I did have a look around that. I did have a look around that.
Yeah.
Could have got loads more if we had loads of people driving.
Yeah, what is the count at the moment?
About eight, maybe 9 at home. But how many altogether? In the 20s.
20s.
Sounds perfectly reasonable to me.
I'm bringing them out when I do them. Yeah, and do weight, they're all not, so I'm bringing them.
Yeah. You're our handy man.
God, I'd love a V8.
Daddy wanted it, but Dad don't drive it very often.
I've been happy for a while. No one's took me as best friend home.
Yeah, even you had to decide which one you were coming in, didn't you? Because you got a few.
I've only got 3 MGs though.
Yeah, it's still free. It's still free. You had to pick. You had to pick.
Yeah, yeah. So it was it was FTF or ZT190.
Yeah, that's the first one we met him in that one.
Which? Oh, the 190. Was it?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Oh, was it Stigbert? Oh, could have been. Yeah, could have been.
Yeah, that's when Street Mice met.
That's it.
It's amazing what turns up at Sainsbury's car park, isn't it?
It is.
And always get customers off, don't worry.
Let me grab my phone, see if it's got a bit of charge in it now. Oh, God almighty, I'm way behind. That's just... Ooh. Hold on.
I don't know who was from where, so I don't know who was saying who was filming. I don't think it was just this older guy.
Right, I can't see any comments there, darling. So if you've commented on something and I haven't replied to you, I do apologise. It's just I haven't seen them because the Wi-Fi here, the public Wi-Fi, is not the most reliable in the world. Let me just... Oh, well, I've got full doings according to this. Tell you what, let's go out of it. And let's go back in and see if I can see anything then. Live chat has moved. Okay.
They're always actually from Monaco.
Here we are. Here are the comments that I couldn't see before. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. What have we got? What have we got? What have we got? Barry would love a ZR180 upgraded with an MG6 engine. Nice view of Norman's arse there. Oh, Trace, hello. Hubnob isn't there, is he? No, I can confirm that the lovely Ian is most definitely not here. There's celebs everywhere, though. I mean, everywhere you look, there's a celebrity. I mean, you've got the famous Smalley ladies there. You've got Mr. Lloyd just over there. You've got Smashing Bristols somewhere. Mr. Bed and Breakfast himself is also knocking around, annoying people. The pottering position. Boaty in a roof tent getting down to business with his feet dangling out the door. God, that would be a challenge, wouldn't it? I hope Norman and Ernest aren't up there in that tent. I actually hope they are. Be nice for them to consummate their relationship. And what better place to do it than in the roof tent of an MG ZTT at the Great British Car Journey? I would think that would be incredibly fitting. Has my microphone still got battery on it? Yeah, apparently it has. Excellent. Right, tell you what. I'll point you over there for a minute and I'll have a fag. Oh dear. Have I left my door open there? Right, can you see that? Let's put you over here a bit. I think that Rob and Simon have managed to snare some new subscribers. Oh, I'm having a seat. That's nice. These car shows are definitely early risers and early leavers. Not my best time of the day. No, I agree. I mean, I got here fashionably late at, well, I rocked up at about 11:30, and to me that seems to be a perfectly reasonable time. I'm not one of these that are ever going to get here at like 10 o'clock in the morning. How is your shuffle doing, sir? Is it complete?
It is indeed, sir.
Excellent.
And I had to go on the MG Express.
I saw you having a whiz around in that, yeah.
It's like anything with a PG1 gearbox. It gets to a certain stage and it needs bushes doing.
Yeah.
In the gearbox, and also suspension, something up with it. It might just be some warm bushes or something in the front. I'm not exactly sure. It's pulling to the left a little bit. Apart from that, it's pretty good.
Is it an original Commerce?
It's an Express.
Oh, an Express.
Yeah, the Commerce was the Rover.
Oh, right.
It's an original Express.
Okay.
And it's a 160. Oh, I think it's back.
There we go. We are back. We
Yeah,
are
so
back.
the numbers that made them in the low 100 Commerce is even rarer than the Express. I think I've only seen a Commerce once ever.
Really?
Yeah, they're really, really rare. So you can think about, like, that's got a bit of rust on it now. It's not bad, just a little tiny bit. It would have had the cam belt done, maybe a new cylinder head gasket. Apart from that, it's pretty good. It's some of the same problem that anything that's like, R3 200, Streetwise, ZR 25 does. Driving position is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Pedals don't quite line up, and there's a cable clutch in it. You can adjust the cable to be a bit better, but as standard, the pedals don't really line up, and the steering wheel's a bit too low, and that kind of stuff.
It's like driving a 911 then, basically.
Yeah, 45 or a ZS or an HHR 400 is a lot more comfortable to drive.
I absolutely agree.
Pedals are all lined up, and they have a hydraulic clutch in them as well. If you want to go for manual, they will have a hydraulic clutch in them. So,
What I'm in love with at the moment is that 623 I bought a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
that's
it.
it.
Range would be a GSI, won't it?
Yeah.
They only made a couple of types of 623. One was the IS, that was a manual, which is an early one.
Yeah.
But most of the 623s were a GSI.
Yeah.
And that meant, I think, standard auto.
It was, yeah, the 4-speed Honda unit.
Yeah, which of course I've had a 63 GSI with that gearbox in it.
Yeah.
The cruise control normally only came on the 623s.
Yeah.
You could get it on a 620 GSI, I think, was an option. Mine didn't have it.
The cruise actually works as well.
Yeah.
And it's a really good cruise system. Works very well indeed.
I wonder if it's a vacuum operated. It probably is a vacuum system, like one of the 45 B6, but it's a vacuum system on those. It's probably a vacuum system as well. But yeah, it's the ultimate spec. Unless you are into manual gearbox, in which case you want a 620 Ti.
Yeah.
With the IS was sort of before that. So that was the sporting one. I think the difference in power, they've got 158 horsepower, something like that. It's 158 with 2.3, and then the TI is about 197, I think.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a difference, and the obviously power level is different.
I'd like to drive a TI. I imagine it's quite squirmy because they didn't really have the tech to be put in best part of 200 brakes for the front wheels at that point, did they?
The biggest problem with 600 is the steering at higher speeds. It goes too light, and the 800s are the same, but they're just too light. The 620 Ti has a different steering system, and they are a bit heavier. There's a bit more resistance in those, but I find it's the same with mine. All the 4 600 I've ridden 4 with them, but actually the steering just goes too light over a certain speed. And that's, I don't know why it's like that. The 800 is the same.
The issue that I've got with the steering, it's obviously a Honda steering rack. I had the same on my 3-litre coupe. It's ridiculously low geared. It's the lowest geared steering I've ever come across in a modern car. It's
light enough. It's funny.
You've got this big old wheel.
Yeah, they're big on the 600.
But but it's so low geared that to to turn right where you'd normally be turning 180 degrees, you're doing a full 360 of the wheel.
Yeah, I wonder why it's like you don't need it to be sort of like that. It's not
No,
like
it's
the P4 where you
no, it seems
kind
to be
of- you kind of
needless.
need it to be geared to actually turn the wheel.
Yeah.
The steering's really light in the 600.
It is incredibly light.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it?
I wonder if you could do the same old trick that you used to be able to do in an XJ6. So in an XJ6, the steering was always stupidly light.
Yeah.
And you could put, you used to put, I can't remember what it was, you put a different oil in them and it firmed the steering up nicely.
Yeah. The X300 I drove was a 4-litre straight 6. That had very light steering as well. And I was just told, well, that's just what they're like. It's just the way that, but it is. It's obviously not the best for, if you're doing hard driving, like, you're driving on roads like all of these around here, you want steering like in that ZR Express. It's like,
You need some feedback.
But the 600 doesn't really give you a lot.
What did you find with the F that you drove? Did that have the electric power steering?
MGF?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Now my F is the electric power steering, and you get that very, very odd thing.
The power steering was broken. Sorry, it was broken.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was broken. Yeah.
Well, I wonder, was it actually broken, or did they pull the fuse?
I don't know what was wrong with it.
Because a lot of people with the electric power steering, they'll actually pull the fuse.
Yeah,
because you get the thing where at low speeds it's incredibly light, but then it's two-stage. So at a certain point it will stiffen up a lot. But it's a binary thing. It's like an on-off switch.
Yeah. There's only 2 weights of steering.
So you'll be cornering or going around an island or something at whatever speed it is, and suddenly the steering will kick back at you because it goes from full assistance to part assistance, which effectively can be quite disconcerting if you're barreling on mid-corner.
You have to ask DMGRS about that, because that's one of them in their collection.
Right.
It was offered to me to say that we paid £500 as MGF, find the problem. So I was like, well, the hydrogas has collapsed, the power steering's broken, it's really rusty.
Yeah.
And there was some really weird thing about how to get in and out the door that didn't work properly or something. It was fine, but I know, having driven a few MGTFs, that they don't drive, you shouldn't drive like this. I've heard that the hydrogas needs setting up properly and everything like that.
It does, yeah.
But it shouldn't be. It was just literally on the bump stop, so there was no suspension really in it at all.
I mean, obviously the TF, they ditched that completely and set a weird on it, shouldn't they? There we go. And actually, think about it.
Yeah, 73 minutes.
Just in case you're not being picked up, bang that on.
Oh, yeah, who knows? Right. I wonder if that's actually working. You don't seem to have any comments coming in. Almost 14 people watching.
Oh, gosh. We had more earlier, but we should do, let's turn you round. I should do a proper...
My head's been chopped off.
Yes, let's move you back a bit. I should do a proper introduction. This is, of course, Mr. Joseph Lloyd of Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, and the gentleman who supplied Sir Richard Morris, of course. The last time that we met was down in your neck of the woods.
It was, and of course, as I said, next month we're coming up to this area again.
Yeah.
So
condolences for the reason behind that, by the way.
He was. My uncle was been ill for a long time, and he was 80.
Oh right, okay.
It was kind of expected. At least we go to one of his favourite places, one of my grandparents' favourite places, which is I can't remember the name of the place. It's up at Fort Cloud.
Oh, okay, I'm not familiar with that.
I can't remember the name of the place. It's a very special hotel that's up at Fort Cloud. It's kind of up there. Oh, what's the name of the place near Fort Cloud? Can't remember now.
And is that where you're going next month?
Yeah.
Ah, excellent. Absolutely. But what were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about the TF, weren't we? When I bought my MGF, I bought it from the Isle of Wight, January of this year. And I actually, bless him, he brought it over on the ferry for me, and I picked it up from Southampton.
It's a bit easier that way.
Yeah, exactly. But jumping into it, I actually thought I'm not going to be able to drive this home because it's a very early one, and I'm quite tall. So you've got the fixed steering wheel. The steering wheel doesn't adjust.
Non-adjustable.
And of course, it's so tight in there, isn't it? And
so I found them all right. I mean, I've driven Fs and TFs, and I find them sort of all right. I've driven worse cars. I mean, like an original, midget from the '60s. I have driven, and I could barely get in. I managed it, but that's one of the tightest cars I've ever driven. Is a midget. I don't know how Jeremy Clarkson drove an Austin Healey Sprite.
Oh, of course he did it in that rally episode, didn't he?
I don't know how he got in.
Yeah.
He's about 6'5", I think.
He's the same height as me. We're the same height. Yeah.
I don't know how he got in.
I was talking about this the other night. There are 3 cars that have almost defeated me. I can drive them, but quite honestly, I'm not.
You don't want to.
I don't want to, and I'm probably not driving them safely. And they were the original midget.
Like what I drove.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awful.
The Spitfire.
Spitfire, eh? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really small.
And this one surprised me. The Series 1 Lotus Esprit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either though, really.
Absolutely no room whatsoever in the bloody Esprit.
I don't really like driving original minis, to be honest, either. I find those incredibly cramped.
Yeah.
I mean they're not. I mean, Mr. Bell's here, who has one. He's one I've actually filmed on the channel many times. And he really likes it. He's taller than me, and he seems to just get on with it. I have driven one that's been made more comfortable, which with the Cooper Sports seats in it and things like that, and the sort of
you can just rip the seat out and put the front seat a little further back.
I think that's what he did, because the chap who owned it's a little bit taller than me. I still found though, the absolute workout, because all the controls are so stiff. Like the clutch is really stiff.
Yeah.
The brakes are really stiff, and everything's at a weird angle, and it's really noisy.
Have you never owned a Mini then, personally?
No, I don't want to either, really.
Oh, it's one of those cars that everybody has to own at least once.
I've driven a few of them, and I just don't really get on with them, personally. I mean, because I'm here, and I've driven several cars to the here. I mean, there's 4 cars just in that marquee that I've driven in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To the Chrysler Avenger, the Hillman Imp. The
Imp is lovely.
The Marina.
Oh, I was talking about the Marina earlier on.
The 1300 GT. The Marina is actually quite a nice car to drive. I quite enjoyed that.
My mother's second car, she passed a test in a Fiat 500, the original 500. And then she bought a Marina 1.8 twin carb coupe.
That'd be a bit different.
And that was the car that I remember as a child doing all of the original road trips, day outs and whatnot. So it was lovely to see that. But the one I really fell in love with was the 1300 GT.
Yeah, everybody loves that. That's
a fabulous car.
That gets me quite decent news, and it's still going.
Really?
I drove it in January, and it's still going. Also, I drove a TR7 and a Viva, in addition to those that are in there. And I've driven also the Astra. They've got the Mark 1 Astra, and the Sierra Sapphire. They've got somewhere in the storage. The TR7 that I drove was not the same as that one. That's a different one.
Oh, was that an E-Type over there?
The E-Type just randomly turned up.
Oh, okay.
It just kind of has. I don't know why.
Right.
I have driven an E-Type as well, but that video was not very successful on the channel.
Was it not?
Sorry?
It wasn't?
No.
God, that's surprising.
I think it was January 2020 I drove that.
That's another car that's very tight. An early flat floor.
Yeah, no, this was a...
1 is...
This was a 2+2, 4.2.
Right.
That wasn't the problem. The problem with the steering is quite heavy in an E-Type.
Yeah.
The brakes are all right because there's all-round discs in it with servo assistance.
Yeah.
The brakes aren't too bad. And actually, you drive it a bit hard and you gain a bit more confidence in an E-Type. When you start driving it, it's a bit, because the bonnet is so long. I'm going to get my nose chopped off.
Yeah.
At any junction.
Yeah.
It is a little bit tricky. But
we used to have a thing that every E-Type had a genuine E-Type dent, and it was just at the front of the bonnet, because everybody who owned one for the first time, at some point they nudged it. They always nudged it. Every E-Type either had the dent or had a repaired bonnet, because the 2 things that strike you about an E-Type the first time you jump in and drive one is, one, the the insane length of the bonnet.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
then the equally insane length of first gear.
Yeah, well, this had a new gearbox in it. It wasn't the original Moss with no synchro on first.
Right.
It was a 5-speed Quaife gearbox.
Oh, really?
Which is quite a common conversion.
Okay.
Because the original Moss gearbox doesn't have the first gear synchro.
Yeah.
So, it was more difficult to drive. This was all synchro mesh 5-speed.
Right.
And, you know, if I were to own a car like that, I'd probably want power steering. And that's quite easy to put into an E-Type these days. I think you can use something like a Prius system or a Corsa C system. Corsa C's, I think, are a bit easier to get hold of because there's tons of them in scrapyards now. And the Rover P4 also is another car you can put a Corsa C power steering system on.
Oh, really?
Because they're very heavy to steer.
Yes.
Rover P4.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't just put a new gearbox in a P4. It'd be nice because the original one's not the easiest gearbox. No synchro mesh, and also it's sprung.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's sprung around first rather than third. So, and reverse is actually where first is in most cars. So it's absolutely nightmare. Reverse is here, first is here, and third is there. So you got to think about what you're doing quite a lot in a P4. And the automatic ones are very, very rare. There's not many. There's 105R, I think it was called, and that's the only one. Everything else is a 4-speed manual. I think if somebody else might be a 3-speed manual.
Some of the engineering was kind of questionable, wasn't it? I mean, the original P4 with the mid-mounted Cyclops Cyclops fog light, which was stylistically was absolutely fantastic. But of course, they all overheated the buggery because it screwed up the cooling.
Well,
so
they
had to be backwards engineered.
It's very funny. I mean, the P4 lasted a long time in production.
It did.
It
did.
In '63, you could buy a P4, P5, and a P6. I think really what replaced it was probably the twin carb version of the P6. And they're a very different car. See, one of my friends, Alex, she has a P4 and a P6. She's both of them. I've driven both of hers. The P6 she has is an auto. And they're supposed to be terrible, but I didn't find it terrible at all.
I love the P6.
I didn't find the auto supposed to be terrible. I didn't find it terrible at all. I was just like, if you're used to driving a lot of cars from that era, it doesn't actually seem that slow. It's just if you got out of the 3,500 V8 or 3005, I think they call them, you get out one of those and you get into a 2000 auto, it's going to be a bit slow. Yeah, of course it is. But it's quite nice to drive. I mean, the engineering is really interesting on a P6.
Yeah, I mean that was a bit of a game changer. It was kind of a Rover thing to hold on to the model, wasn't it? I mean, certainly post-war, because immediately post-war when they reopened, then they just went back to their pre-war models and slightly warmed them over. And then they seem to just have this thing where they held on to the models forever. I mean, as you say, the P4 was still being sold at the time that they were bringing the P6 in.
I remember P5 was 15 years.
P5 went on, I mean, the P5 was a real dinosaur.
I've driven one of those. Where's Gonzalo? He's got one. He's got one wide drive. He's actually here, just over there. He's actually got one. And one I drove, the brakes were a bit dodgy in it when I drove it, and I had to be very careful in it. It was also steering. You think like the steering, and I know a 620 is light. Like try your P5, steering's just. It's like this. It's sort of just, you drive a bit like this.
It's like a bloody shadow, isn't it? It's like driving a shadow.
The early ones are not like that because the early ones don't have power steering. But certainly the P5B, which is the most common type that's now remaining, for some reason. I don't know why, but for some reason, they're the most common ones left.
I think they're probably deemed the most desirable, aren't they? So they were
easiest to work
less likely to be scrapped.
Yeah, because you still get all the parts of the engine. Maybe like 2002 or something. It made the V8 ages and ages and ages. So it's a lot easier to find the parts.
It must be one of the longest running engines in history because in Buick terms, it was already outdated at the point that they did the deal with Rover.
It was a 61, I think it came out. They had it in a car called the Special in the early 60s, which was one of the new compact cars that General Motors introduced, which wasn't the same platform as a Corvair, but Oldsmobile and Pontiac had a version of it too. And for whatever reason, Buick had their own engine. Why they did, I don't know. It doesn't really mention to be any particular reason, but they had their own one, and they just couldn't quite get it to work. What Rover realised when they bought the rights to design about '66 was that they just hadn't developed it quite properly, and they could actually revise it and make it better.
Did. Yeah, it
And
was. A lot of
that
people
worked
think it was
brilliantly.
just a simple plug and play, and it really wasn't.
No, they
It
re-engineered
was, there was a total re-engineering in the finest British tradition. The example I always use of that is the 6.3 Chrysler lump V8. Now, when that went into the Interceptor, that was just bung it in. And they didn't really do much with that until it had to become 7.2 when they went into the American market, and it got strangled by emissions. Whereas Bristol used the same engine,
They did, yeah.
but Bristol completely re-engineered it before it even went near one of their cars.
Yeah, but Bristol.
And fantastically, on the Beaufighter, they banged a massive turbo on it.
I really want to get hold of the Bristol. I mean, it's very difficult to find somebody who actually has one, let alone somebody let you drive one. This is one of the things. I'd really like to try one of the classic Bristols, like a 411, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to try something like a 411. That'd be nice.
Well, until a couple of months ago, I could have helped you out on that, but
You don't have it.
no. Well, my dad's best friend, and I grew up in his place, was a guy called Brian May, but he was known as Bristol Brian, and he was the biggest Bristol dealer, restorer, whatever in the world. He lived just outside Birmingham, and he lived in an old stately home, and on his grounds he literally had 2 aircraft hangars that
For the Bristols.
full to the brim of Bristol. So the first car, I was probably conceived in a Bristol, although I don't know that. I was almost born in a Bristol in a snowdrift in Snowdonia. I was certainly brought home from hospital in a Bristol, and the first car that I drove was a Bristol. So, but yeah, I heard that there was either a YouTube thing or a television program, and apparently he has passed away. Are you against the clock there? So you're looking at...
I've got to go and drive a Mark 1 Citroen C4 at some stage in South Wingfield, which is just over there. Just checking I'm not going to be late for the
I know
chat.
South Wingfield.
The thing is, I just get offered stuff, and I remembered I'd been up here before.
I was going to ask you what you've been driving this weekend.
Yeah, to drive a Mark 1 Focus Gear Estate, an auto one. I drove that last year. And I just remembered, because we're staying very close to South Wingfield, I remember the owner lived around here, and I thought, well, I'll just check to see if he's got anything else. So I go, I've got a Mark 1 Citroen C4.
Oh,
It's a base model. I'm like, oh, wonderful. I bet it's sort of terrible. Because, the head gasket blew last week.
Oh, fantastic.
I was like, well, it's one of the old TUs. It's not the Prince engine, which we don't talk about. I mean, the Prince engine... Ones came in 2008. This is 2007. I think it's a base model of the LX. I don't think it's got the lane keeping alert thing. Warning with a vibrating driver's seat.
Yeah.
Which is one of their sort of features. It's still got the silly steering wheel that if the hub doesn't move, which they were very proud of at the time.
Yeah.
It's still got that, but it's not exciting. It's not a VTS or anything like that. It's just a 1.4 with 88 horsepower.
Oh, it's fun doing the base model. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not really into the base models. I mean, tomorrow when I drive the cars, there's like a luxury theme going on. There's like, rather than like, oh yeah, we drive the base model Marina Coupe and we drive the Super Rib and things like that. We've got some quite tasty things, which obviously if you come and drive them here, they're a bit more expensive than things like the Imp and the Marina and stuff like that. But they've got loads of things here. You have to sort of tell them in advance what you want to do. I mean,
right.
And you can buy the vouchers to do whatever you want. I mean, there's a selection in there. They've got more of them. There's loads of them, and that's a very unique thing about here. They really did a very similar thing many, many years ago in the 1990s. Because I remember going to Beeley and my mother drove a Morris Oxford from 1928.
Oh gosh.
When I was there, just a little bit around the car park. But it's not a common thing for museums to do this kind of thing at all, and particularly not
indeed.
organised like this. And if you look at the sort of barn down there, they've got stuff I think they're going to add to the collection in the future. They just haven't got enough storage space for everything. A lot of the cars that you drive are stored like across this bridge over there.
Yeah.
You don't just go into the museum and pull them out. One thing I was going to drive tomorrow is this Mark 6 Escort Cabrio that's in there.
Oh, I saw that in the corner.
I was going
Yeah.
to, but because it's on the display, I'm not allowed to drive it tomorrow. But
Okay.
the thing is, I very kindly, rather like Ian Seabrook and Steph, my driver classic, I do come here periodically. I don't come here that often, it's quite a long way. But it's a V8.
Oh, yes.
I do come here periodically, and they let me do like a certain
They've
number
got
of
a
cars in a day.
ridiculous collection. They have.
Yeah, they have. Unfortunately, one is a City Rover, which I don't approve of. But
I want a City Rover. Have you driven one?
102.
Are they as awful as they say?
Do you know what? There's 3 things about City Rover that actually
I want one. I actually
good.
want one for my personal
you will
collection.
not want one when you've driven one.
That's why I want one.
Do you know how awful they are?
No, I have no personal experience. I know how awful everybody says
they
are.
are. I have driven over 400 cars on my channel,
Right.
including a Yugo, and the City Rover is the worst of all.
God,
That's
really?
a lot of cars. That's quite a lot. And the City Rover is the worst. And bear in mind, I've owned 9 Rovers. So it's not just like a sort of prejudice here.
Yeah.
It's terrible. The only things that are nice about it, the air conditioning's quite good.
Okay.
The engine, which is a really strange capacity of like 1405 or something like that.
It's a Peugeot derived unit.
It's
isn't
a Peugeot derived unit, yeah. And the air conditioning is very good. It's quite powerful for the size of the car, and the styling's not too bad. Absolutely everything else is terrible. The ride is terrible. The interior quality is terrible.
Yeah.
Reliability is terrible. Steering is terrible. The comfort is terrible. The seats are terrible. Like absolutely everything else, apart from the styling, the air conditioning, and the fact the engine's quite powerful, are terrible. Everything is terrible.
That's what makes it fantastic, though.
It's
when
not-
something
when
is
you-
that
But
bad.
when you drive it, you're like, I want to get out. I don't want to. I'd rather walk. There's this bit where I start the test drive and I come out of the car park where I've been filming. We're down on the south coast, sort of near Havant, and we have this undulations in the road like this, and everything else I've driven over there is fine. But the City Rover just couldn't cope with it.
Really?
It just couldn't cope. It's like thinking, well, maybe it's got this terrible ride, and so the handling will be good. No, it's awful. It's just the way they sort of imported this. It's rather like a cynical kind of way as well, because
Oh, it was highly cynical.
because they paid, I think, like £2,500 per car,
Yeah.
and they are marketed at considerably more. So, like, obviously you've got to think
6.5, I think.
Yeah, you got it. Well, yeah, for the Solo, it's a base model. The one I drove was the Select, which had like electric windows and things like that in it.
Yeah.
The thing was that there's a cost of shipping it over and stuff like that, and marketing it and making it legal for this country, and pay the staff and the wages and things. But still, the car should have been about $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, they put a 100% mark.
Yeah, it should have been about $5,000 really, and it would have been kind of all right. You've got to remember that like a Sandero, when it came out in 2013, and the Sandero came out 10 years earlier, was actually cheaper.
That was the thing, and that was where they missed out. It should have been the cheapest brand new car that you could buy in the UK.
Yeah.
And then they could have marketed it on that basis,
Yeah.
and everything else would have become excusable.
Relative, because
But-
it's better, yeah.
But it wasn't. They were just too bloody greedy with it.
They-
And
they-
they screwed Tata over. Part of the deal was that Rover were supposed to be responsible for marketing the Tata pickup, whatever it was called,
Loads better.
in the UK, which,
Yeah, loads better, yeah.
which they never did. They welched on that.
Yeah, because Tata actually marketed it under their own name for a while.
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's at the front end of the 190E. It's really strange.
Yeah.
It's really odd like that. Yeah, it's
I want to drive a City Rover before they all disappear.
Well,
And
but
I've got to admit, I would like to own one.
you won't want to own it for long. I can assure you. But the moment you actually get in it and sit down, you'll be wanting to get out.
That's going to be the sheer joy of it.
But this is an absolutely terrible car. Like there are no worse cars I've driven on my channel, and the Yugo is very bad, but the City Rover was made about 15 years later,
Yes.
and that's what's so terrible about it.
Yeah.
Like it's just you could sort of excuse the Yugo for its sort of era, and it was really cheap, the 45.
Yeah.
45A, what I drove was 45A. You could sort of excuse it, but like you can't excuse City Rover at all. There's no real excuse.
There's no mitigation
well, no,
for it.
The Panda, that obviously famously James May had to sort of borrow one from the dealership, and they upgraded for a Panda, like a 1.1 active Panda, I think was the base model. And obviously I've driven a Mark III Panda, and they're about 1 million times better.
Yeah.
And people still really love them to this day. I mean,
Yes,
they came out the same year. They both came out in 2003.
God, it's a Panda. Go back
Yeah,
to that.
the Mark III came out in 2003. And it's just a much better car, like, in every single way. I don't. Apart from the fact that the standard Pandas, the top engine was about 70 horsepower, it's a 1.2. The 100 horsepower didn't come along till a bit later, I think 2006. Mr. Bill's got one of those, he'll tell you. But it's pretty good. I've driven his car, and apart from the suspension being incredibly firm, that's what they are. It's pretty good. I mean, like, you know, they're cult cars, a City Rover. Just
yeah, this has been hilarious.
Just didn't need to exist. Like, you just.
Oh God, that's harsh.
But well, not really, because they didn't have a competitor in that market since they discontinued the Rover 100 in 1997.
Yeah,
They'd got away for sort of 6 years, and
yeah,
just by kind of having a 1.125 or the Rover 211.
yeah.
So
yeah.
They didn't need it.
No.
They didn't need it. All it did was dilute the brand still further into this sort of very compromised, fully imported thing. And, you know, like an MG3 which came out 10 years later is a lot better.
Yeah.
And then obviously these days it's fully imported from China. But even the ones built in Longbridge, I mean, I've had a Longbridge MG3 because we owned that for the first. We had it for like over 3 years. We had one of those, and actually, it's a vastly better car than the City Rover. Even though, like, you can still go into a showroom and buy a new one today. It's very outdated, but it survives really because actually they drive quite well. The engine's nothing to write home about particularly, but they drive quite well. The handling and ride is very good in them. Although it's a little bit stiff, but then again, it's an MG, so maybe it should be. And you get a 7-year warranty, and it's about, I think,
is it 7 years?
I think the top one's like 14.5 grand for the one with sat nav in it. And at the moment, where like, you know, you buy your average electric car that's 40 grand or something, and say that you can have a brand new MG3 with sat nav and Apple CarPlay for £14,500. It seems like a lot of money, but then again, the cheapest Sandero is now about £13,000. So it's actually not. Like, everything has changed. When the MG3 was launched 10 years ago, it was £8,500 for the free time, which was stupid. No, the free time, free form, free sport, and free style. Which I don't know why they did that, but they just sort of did. But you don't see the base model MG3s really because they didn't really market them. So you say your free time is 8499 on the road, but someone would look around it and say, why has it got unpainted door handles, wheel trims, no air conditioning, and no remote central locking?
Right.
Doesn't have any of those things.
Okay.
I said, well, sir, we can sell you this free-form sport here. That's only, you know, that's only like 9,299. It's like £800 more, and that's got alloy wheels, air conditioning, remote locking, and actual painted door handles, and a body kit. It's like, have one of these. Like, what colour do you want? If you wanted a free time, you'd have to wait for that because nobody bought them. And they did that with the facelift one, which was it was called the Explorer. The Explorer was the same. It's just nothing. Like, you didn't get anything.
So they were basically like a switch sale. They'd pull the customer in on price alone, and then you'd switch the customer into the next model up.
Exactly, because you could. The Sandero was kind of like the Sandero Access. You know, it had unpainted bumpers, no radio, no air conditioning,
No radio,
no
unpainted bumpers,
not even wheel trims, like those hubcaps. They weren't even wheel trims. But like, could you buy a car for £5,995? Yes. But do you actually want that spec? But they tell you in, like, I think it was called the Ambiance, which is the next one up, that you could have £1,200 more, and you could have, you know, a choice of colours, electric windows, a radio, actual wheel trims, and again, for like an Access or an MG3 Explorer, you have to wait. One of the best value ones ever was the MG ZS Explorer that came out in 2017 because that had no aircon, but it was an SUV for £12,000.
Right.
The Duster, I think, was 9495 when it came out. The MG ZS, I'd say, is a slightly better car than the original Duster.
Speaking of SUVs, I had my first drive in an electric car the week before last.
Was it an MG ZS EV?
No, it was a new Jaguar
I-Pace? Being
I-Pace
I-Pace, they've only got one.
400 HSE Black Edition,
Oh, yeah.
71 grand.
Yeah.
And
They're massive, those things. They're big old things.
I wouldn't say it was massive. What it was stupidly quick.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Stupidly quick. I mean, it was doing 0 to 16 4.3, I think.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely, but I absolutely fell head over heels in love with it. I'd never driven an electric car before, apart from a literal milk float and a Sinclair C5. I had it for a few hours, and that one pedal driving technique, that is amazing.
Yeah, I've driven loads of electric cars like that.
Have you? It was
loads.
revelatory to me.
Yeah, it depends on the manufacturer. Some of them, the fiercest regen is probably the Nissan Leaf.
Right.
That has the e-pedal mode. That's the fiercest one where you drive it with one. Most of the rest of them, you do have to brake a little bit, but you can get away just the way you drive them and turn up the regen to the maximum. And you can, like...
That's what I did on the Jag, and
tighten it up.
you literally don't need to touch the brake.
A lot of the time you don't, yeah.
I mean, you can coast. I mean, obviously, if it was an emergency stop, you would need to.
Yeah.
But as long as you're driving properly and you're looking at what's coming ahead, then
you can anticipate a bit.
Yeah, you can come to a complete stop at a junction. No problem at all.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a revelation to me. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, they're very quick, those. The only thing is, like, you've got to stop saving up.
Yeah.
But then they came out, I think it was 19 they came out, the I-Pace, and the fastest appreciating segment in all of the car market for the second-hand ones is electric cars.
Yeah.
Most other things are holding their prices really firm. I mean, the funniest one was one I tested last month. It was a Hyundai i10 Auto from 2014. It was a premium, so it was top of the range one. And it had done some stupid miles, like 25,000 miles. But it was £9,500. And you'd think, like, a car like that can't possibly be worth that. But the same day I drove it, the dealership sold it for, I think, close to the asking price. So, like, small automatic petrol cars are massively overvalued at the moment. Yeah. Even the manual ones sort of are. It depends what you want. But there's some cars that aren't that expensive. Like, you know, you can get into certain things that are really cheap and that lose a lot of money. But the small automatic things are worth loads because that's what people want.
I mean, small autos always used to carry a premium.
Yeah, but especially now because people don't want the manuals so much. They don't want to buy an electric car because it's quite expensive or they don't have the charging infrastructure.
Yeah,
electric cars are great. Like, it's I-Pace. I've driven loads of lovely electric cars over the course of a while. I drove a Volvo C40 Recharge last year and that had 408 horsepower in it. And that was really quick. It was 58 grand.
Yeah.
The thing is, you could buy like a petrol XC40. It was very similar to that for like 35 or something. And you're like, well...
Yeah, it's not reached the point yet where it makes sense, both in terms of the price point, in terms of the charging infrastructure.
I know.
It's not a million miles off, though.
No, it's not far. The thing is, you can, because there's loads of second-hand things like MG ZS CVs and Nissan Leafs on the market now. There's loads of them, and they've lost a lot of money from new, the same way cars used to, which they don't with petrol ones at the moment. But it's just one of these things. Like, you've got to sort of think very much in a different mindset to own an electric car, which you can do. A friend of mine's had 4 of them, and he's on his 4th one now, and he does.
I think that's exactly what it is. It's that change in mindset.
Yeah.
And, you know, most people won't change until they're forced to. And obviously
which is coming in about 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard a lot of people say that, oh, the government will do a U-turn or they'll be forced to do a U-turn. But it won't
who
make
knows?
any difference because all of the mainstream manufacturers now, they're so committed to that. So
Yeah.
that even if the government did a U-turn tomorrow, they wouldn't be able to change their plans. They're too heavily
they've
committed.
scrapped the development of most of the sort of internal combustion engine.
Yeah,
units.
absolutely.
They've scrapped the development. So
Absolutely.
like a lot of the ones they're developing now are the last generation that a certain manufacturer's going to produce.
Yeah.
Even if they've still got combustion cars in their range. Even people like Honda and Toyota, which resisted making electric cars for the masses for a really long time, are now making them. They're not sort of Honda E, which is like a minority thing, which is nice. I've driven a Honda E, and it's a really good car. It's just the range is about 120 miles on a good day.
Oh, really? Oh, that's not,
it's a really nice car. They're really
viable,
nice to drive, and they're really nice inside. It's a very nice piece of engineering and design. It's just that in terms of practicality for someone like me, I find that quite limited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
absolutely.
It's really sort of it. So the next thing they've brought out is something a lot more conventional. That's on a similar platform to the HRV. It's called the NY1 or something. Or yeah, I forget. The model names like B4ZX and ENY1 and things like that. I just don't know why they can't call them just normal names. I don't really understand that. But they don't seem to want to do that for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, all quite confusing. Right. Well, you've got cars to go and drive.
You've got your comment section to do.
I've got comments, and I need to go to work at some point. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah, you got to go to work, sir.
So you're back here tomorrow. When do you go back down?
Tuesday.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll be driving some things that will appear on the channel at some point.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm off to the Yard of Dreams with Captain Mustard tomorrow. We've got I've got a couple of cars that we bought last week that I haven't actually seen yet.
He seems to be I thought he was supposed to be like reducing the number of cars that he has.
With reducing the number of cars in the yard that don't belong to him or us, and reducing the number of project cars, and they're being replaced by the Mustard and Boaty do cars, which is our actual more of a business side of things.
Ones that work.
Yeah. So I mean, so we're buying cars that are basically sound, that just need maybe a little bit of cosmetic work, maybe a paint rectification, maybe a little repair here and there, making them really nice. And then we're doing the thing where we pair a car that deserves a good owner. We pair them up with somebody that we know is a good owner, and so we make sure that the car doesn't fall into the wrong hands, and that an enthusiast or potential enthusiast doesn't end up with an overpriced or badly described lemon. So, so we've got our buying boots on at the moment. We bought, the week before last, we bought 2, the 623 and the 620. This week we've bought 3. We've got a couple being delivered tomorrow.
Hopefully you got some cash for ones you've sold and ones that have been sent to their homes, because isn't it the case that there have been cars there for a while that people haven't picked up?
But they're gradually being cleared. Quite a few of them have actually gone now. But yeah, the new thing we're doing, it's a 3-way partnership. So there's myself, there's Mustard, and there is the man known only as the Unknown Banker, and he actually provides the money for all of this.
Mr. X.
Yeah, very useful chap.
Yes, that's obviously a good thing.
But it's probably the same for you. That when you get a little bit of visibility on YouTube or whatever, you get offered a lot of cars, and
I do. I get offered some cars, yeah.
And it's been the same with us, and it's the ones that we should take or want to take. It's nice to be able to do it. It's nice to have A, the funds, and B, the room.
Yeah, I get offered stuff sometimes. I'm trying to think of the rest of the things I've been offered, and a lot of the time I don't necessarily want them. I'm very, very fussy as to what I have. I'm incredibly fussy. That's why I didn't buy a car for
But it's slightly different for you, isn't it?
3 years.
Because you have all of your cars are actually your personal cars. The
Yeah,
business
yeah,
cars
they
are cars that you source for other people.
It's nothing.
Your cars are all.
nothing to do with it at all.
You don't buy them
no,
to. You don't
no,
buy them to flip them, or
No,
you don't buy
no.
them to move them
No,
on, or
no.
anything of that nature. They're
No.
all personal, relatively medium or long-term cars.
Yeah, I mean, like we've had disasters like the C70,
Yeah.
and obviously the Gold 460, which we were aiming to keep a lot longer. We just sort of worked out that actually there was quite a lot more work to do to it, which we should have known really, to know those cars. Well, the lady just didn't like it. She didn't like it at all. She just didn't. The Rattling Dash was not her favourite.
No.
And the thing is, I knew really what I needed to do, which when I got offered that S40. I was like, I can't turn this down. Like this service history is this thick.
Yeah. It's
He's
a lovely
really,
looking
he's
car.
really looked after it. It's a 2.4 white block.
You knew the car anyway, didn't you?
I got it from a Volvo Owners Club member who I knew. He offered me at a really, really good price. I said, look, I'd be stupid to turn this down.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to find another one like this.
Yeah.
Because the 2.4s weren't made for very long. The T5s were, and they continued until the end of the Mark II S40s in 2012. But they only lasted until 2007, the 2.4s.
Right.
And most of them are like 1.6, 1.82 litre, the same engines in the Focus Mark II, which is fine, they're fine. But, nothing beats a Volvo white block engine, really.
Yeah.
And it's a much better car than the 460. And in a lot of ways, it's far more suitable for daily use than the 45 V6s because it's not full of really rare sort of bits.
And slightly fragile.
Yeah, because white block was made till 2016.
And you do a lot of miles, of course.
I do a lot. I worked it out at somewhere around 24,000 every year.
Gosh,
it's over various cars, so it doesn't sort of show so much. But really, sort of mileage that I do. I mean, that's fine to do it, but I'm trying to persuade my lady wife to let us replace a Mercedes that used to belong to my mother, which is also gone, which we sold because basically we realised that the car, as it was worth quite a lot of money. My mother was never going to use it again. And when my sister came over, who has my nephew, it wasn't suitable for really getting his stuff in. The rear legroom was very limited. The boot didn't really fit the buggy in particularly well.
Right.
And they were just like, well, what is this car seat? The car seat only just fits in. I'm like, why is this car so large? It's got so little interior space in it. But it's worth an awful lot of money. If you're just on your own, or there's like 3 people in it, it's fine. But if you've got four people and one of them's a baby and child seat, it wasn't very good.
So it's kind of too big for a single or a couple.
Yeah,
but they're not suitable for a full family
really
either. So neither one thing or the other.
If you've got children that don't need child seats, they're 8 or older or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't need the child seats. They're not very big, so they fit in the back just fine, and they don't need buggy and things like that.
Yeah.
Just this time, my nephew's at this sort of age. In a few years' time, we won't need them anymore. But at this sort of time, it's which is very time we normally use a full capacity of a car like that. It's just not very suitable. So we're thinking about replacing it with something. I know exactly what I want to buy. It's just to persuade my lady wife to allow me to do it because she doesn't think we need more than 2 cars. We've got 3, and one of them currently doesn't have an MOT.
Right.
So she's not really bothered about that kind of stuff. So when you're talking about collections that I've been chap I know's got 8. Another Miss Richardson's got about 13. These people I know just have loads. And
I'm up to 8 now.
When I tell people that we have 3 or 4 cars, they're like, "What? What do you need those for?" It's you don't think you really sort of understand the sort of world that I'm in. 2 of them that we have, I paid less than $2,000 for 2 of them. They're not expensive cars. One of them is perfectly fine for most of the daily duties if I want to use it for that. The other one we've had for years, Saniel we have for years, and we will continue to keep it for as long as we need to. We'll just keep that one. My lady wife drives it. We take it on longer journeys. So it makes sense to sort of have them. They've all got a purpose. It's just I don't necessarily want to rack up a massive amount of miles in the Volvo because the air conditioning needs fixing, which I will fix. The boot is all right, but the estate boot on the Mercedes was better. and actually I should be doing the sort of mild, really been paying clients around it, probably a newer car than that.
Yeah.
It just feels a bit wrong to be piling like 180,000 miles in it during the sort of time that I had
So
it.
that's going to be the Merc replacement. That's going to be
It's
that's going to
something.
tick
Something
those
that
boxes.
it might not. I don't know when it will materialise because like it's quite a lot of money that will be required for it. I mean, in the context of 2023 and new car prices, it's not that much. But in the context of like what the cars we have are worth and like what most of you and Mustard actually have, it is sort of a fair bit. Right.
Yes, I need to crack it,
work.
and I'm losing battery on there as well. Very nice to see you again, sir, and hopefully see you next month.
See you then, sir.
Okay, my lovelies. Right, my battery is about to go. Everybody else appears to be pretty much buggering off, so I think we'll call it a day at that. Gosh, 19 of you watching, and we've been going for an hour and 15. So, thank you for your company, those of you that have been here with me, and that is it from the MGZ Register meetup at the Great British Car Journey. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you. When will I see you? I'll see you tomorrow night for Monday Night Live. I might even see you tomorrow afternoon, Mustard and Boaty, live from Mr. George Roger Boaty. All right, darlings. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye-bye.